Hey everyone, it's Jill and welcome back to my booktube channel. This video is going to be a reading vlog and I'm going to be reading Daydream by Hannah Grace. I'm going to have full spoilers in this reading vlog, so just keep that in mind if you haven't read this yet. So Daydream is about our FMC. Her name is Hallie and she is in a book club, so we're gonna have a fellow bookish girly, which I love when the main character loves books. And then the MMC is Henry, and based off the back here it seems like we're going to have the kind of tutor trope, which I haven't read in a while, so I'm excited to see how I like this. I'm going to get this started now and I'm hoping to get a good chunk of it done today and then hopefully finish it tomorrow. It's the end of the day now, and unfortunately I didn't get too far into this. I'm only on page 59. I had a few things to do in the afternoon, so I didn't have too much time to read. But the story starts off with Hallie and her ex-boyfriend now. They break up. This guy's name's Will, and they were kind of childhood friends to lovers, but she was never really fully feeling the relationship. I feel like it was a little bit more convenience rather than love, I guess, as to why she stayed in the relationship. So when Will kind of breaks up with her, she's not really that sad about it, which actually makes him really mad. And then he is very rude and like super a-holy about it and is like, oh well, my friend said that I should have broken up with you so long ago. And she's like, okay. So they break up, and Hallie did kind of mention how between the families it might cause some tension maybe because they, I guess, hang out during different holidays like Christmas and whatnot. So I don't know if that's going to end up being a thing later on in the book. Maybe Henry will be ending up going to one of these events which cause drama. But then we get Henry's POV, so it's dual POV, which I love. And he's a bit distraught because he's not doing great in one of his classes. I think it said that he failed one of the papers, and he's captain of the hockey team, so his coach has pretty high expectations of him and wants him to excel in everything. So he says to him, like, get your act together and you can't drop this class. You better just like fix your grade and do better next time. So he is kind of freaking out about that. And then he ends up going to this bookstore with Aurora, which is one of the guys, Russ. I don't know if Russ and Aurora, were they the Wildfire characters? I feel like they were. But he goes to this bookstore with Aurora to look at leadership books or something like that to get inspiration, I think. And then it just so happens that Hallie is hosting one of the first book club meetings, I guess, which I did think the way they met was pretty cute. And so far I'm really enjoying it. I am not too far in, so I can't say really too much about my opinions and stuff. I think that Hallie is very relatable, and just her situation, I definitely feel for her, and I hope that she's able to kind of integrate herself into this whole friend group. But that's all I have to say for now, and I ended off with Hallie being invited by Henry to a party, so we'll see if she ends up going. It's the next day now and I'm on page 135. And Hallie ended up going to the party, and there were a few other scenes of Hallie and Henry just doing kind of random things. He helped her bake a cake for her friend, and then he also went to another one of the book club meetings, even though he like didn't read the book. But also during those meetings, they kind of like go really fast over those scenes. And now that I'm thinking about it more, I kind of wish that we got a little bit more about the book club, like the dynamic between the group and just what they're reading and them kind of talking more about the book club, I guess. I feel like I would like that. But otherwise, Henry kind of realized, because it was actually his hockey coach that said how Henry should be helping Hallie in a way because Hallie's been helping him with doing these writing assignments, and the coach was like, yeah, you shouldn't be taking advantage of her. But after that comment, Henry's kind of freaking out, thinking that he's accidentally taking advantage of like all his friends, and he's like asking all of his friends, wait, am I like, are you okay in this relationship? Like, am I asking too much of you? And his friends are like, no, like, you're fine, it's okay. But anyways, since Hallie's been helping him with these assignments, he wants to help her by taking her on dates and getting the experience of dating and whatnot, because she hasn't really had that experience in the past. Even though she had an ex-boyfriend or a boyfriend in the past that is now her ex-boyfriend, he never really took her out or took her to do things, which lame. But Hallie agrees to do this because she's kind of now friends with Henry and is comfortable with him enough to go on these dates. But she also wants inspiration because she is writing a novel and it's a romance, so she feels like she needs to have some type of romantic experience to be writing about romance, which kind of makes sense. So that's the kind of trope we have here, is the practice dating trope, which actually is not a trope that I really like. I read a few books with that trope last summer and I actually DNF'd both of them, but so far in this I'm not disliking it, and I just think they're really cute. I think that Hallie is good for Henry because Henry at times definitely gets overwhelmed with things and kind of has, I guess, anxiety. It's not specifically diagnosed or specified, and I can really tell that Hallie is able to identify those cues of when he's overwhelmed and needing some help, and she's able to be there for him during those times. For example, there was a scene where they were at a bar and she could tell he was super overwhelmed, so she offered to leave with him because she didn't want him to like suffer. And then now the scene that I just ended off with actually was also at a bar, and she gives him earplugs to be like, look, I know that sometimes the noise is overstimulating for you, so I brought you these earplugs as a present, which I thought was really sweet. And the romance is definitely slow burn, which I prefer, so I am liking that aspect of it, but it's not the type of slow burn where the characters don't really like each other or they're just like super platonic, because in each point of view you kind of can tell that Hallie likes Henry and that Henry likes Hallie. So I am excited for the relationship to progress a little bit more. And I will say, kind of around the 120 mark, I am a little bit, not bored, but I'm ready for something else to happen, because it's kind of like not super plot driven, it's more so character driven and just kind of like the day-to-day things that are happening with Hallie and Henry. So yeah, I'm hoping it kind of picks up a little bit, but that's not saying that I'm disliking it, because I am enjoying it. But I will update you guys soon, probably tomorrow. I'm back and I'm on page 271, and I think it was around the 200 page mark when Hallie and Henry kind of unofficially got together, and their friends from both sides are kind of pestering both of them because they can all tell that they're into each other, and they're like, how come you guys haven't made it official yet? Like, how come, like, what's going on, kind of thing. But it's kind of weird because they're kind of just in limbo between this fake, not even fake dating, it's not the fake dating trope, it's like the practice dating trope. So they're still friends or whatever doing the practice dates, which they haven't really gone on a date in a while actually, because now they're more so together than they were at the 200 page mark, but the relationship still has not been defined. So it's kind of strange, but it's okay. And there was one part when Hallie's sister, she told their mom that she was going to a campus kind of tour, I guess, but she lied to her mom and she ended up going to a town with some older friend or something, and I think she got in kind of a sticky situation. But it turns out the town she was in was the town that Will lives in. So then she asked Will if she could stay at Will's house, and then Will called Hallie and Hallie was like, what the heck, I need to go help my sister. She went to Will's, and then I thought they were going to leave, but I guess it was too late or something. I don't really know why they even stayed, but they ended up staying the night at Will's, her and her sister. And then her sister finds out that they aren't together anymore because she didn't know that previously. So then the next day, I thought that Henry was going to be upset with Hallie for staying over at Will's, but he really didn't even mention it. But he definitely knew about it though, because in his POV it was mentioned very briefly. So I guess it's a good thing that he was kind of careful about the situation and he knew that it wasn't Hallie being with Will or anything. And I guess he also knew that Hallie was never really into him, so there's nothing for him to really worry about. But I figured that it was going to be a point of contention, which it wasn't, so I guess that was a good thing. But after that, nothing really has been happening, honestly. I think from the last time I checked in till now, it has been a little bit slow for me. Hallie and Henry are kind of just hanging out without, again, defining the relationship, and I guess they're kind of just trying to figure out what this relationship is and whatnot, but they're literally like kissing all the time, and doing other stuff. So they basically are together at this point, and they're kind of just experimenting, which is fine and all, but I do kind of want more to happen, and I feel like my expectations haven't been fully met. But I'll probably do my last check-in when I'm done, unless something crazy happens. And my light just went off. I finished reading Daydream, and after my last check-in, I kind of changed my mindset and expectations of what this book would be. And I would say that it is kind of less, it's romance, but there's not really too much of a plot. It's definitely more so of that cozy romance instead of like a set problem and issue going on. And there also wasn't a third act breakup, so I'll get into that though. So Christmas went by, they got each other really cute gifts. Hallie was having some health issues. She was really sick for a while, and then Henry introduced her to his mom because his mom's a doctor. So Hallie was like freaking out about that because she wasn't like feeling her best, and also she wanted to leave a good impression, of course. I didn't mention in previous clips, but Hallie struggles a lot with being the older sister of, I think she has 2 other siblings, and her mom expects a lot of her to pretty much take care of the siblings and just the family in general, and encourages her to put the siblings first. So that's kind of a big part of this book, is Hallie kind of figuring out how to stick up for herself and for her to finally be able to prioritize herself and not put everyone else in front of her own needs. One day her parents and her parents' friends, which so happened to be Will's parents, and then Will's also there too, all go to her house unexpectedly, and she's like, what the heck? And then Will confronts her being like, oh, you've changed so much since we broke up, and is pouting to her saying that she never put him first in the relationship, which is really just delusional that he even said that, because she gives multiple examples of how she always put him first and pretty much just tailored her life around his schedule and his wants and his needs the whole time they were together. And I kind of already mentioned this, but there wasn't a third act breakup. It was more so like Henry getting super overwhelmed during, actually it was right before one of his hockey games, and it was actually when he was going off against the team that Will plays for. Will, before the game, he's just kind of tormenting Henry, and then Henry kind of gets in his head the fact that he's captain and everything, and he wants to be a good example for all of his teammates, and it gets too much for him. He ends up leaving the game, not playing, and Hallie goes and tries to console him, and he's like, I'm sorry, I just need time alone to think and process and figure out his own stuff. So then he goes to his hometown, which I don't even know exactly where that is, but he is gone for a good amount of time that Hallie is really worried about him and is trying to ask the other friends like, oh, have you heard from Henry? Like, has he given an update about how he's doing? Because I feel like he was gone for over a week at that point, and he was missing school, missing practice, so everyone was pretty worried for him. But of course he comes back and everything ends up being fine, and him and Hallie are happy together, and Hallie is able to confront her mom, talking to her about her feelings of being the oldest sister and how she just feels a lot of pressure, and her mom seems to take it pretty well. But I felt like it was a little bit unrealistic for her mom to change kind of immediately, because a little bit after that she says how her mom's been a lot better. But I mean, who knows, maybe she can change that quickly. And then I did mention previously how Hallie was writing a novel. This was actually for a contest, and at the end she didn't end up winning this contest, which she was disappointed with, because the prize was the opportunity to go to the city. Was it New York City? I think it was New York City, to participate in this fancy writing class for the summer. But then she's happily surprised by one of the other friends, I think. I don't know, it was like kind of a side character that wasn't super important, but he said that his parents or something was going to pay for the writing class for her. And then Henry also surprises her and says that he'll be going to the city as well, as he's taking art classes for the summer. So it's perfect because they'll be in the same city together for the summer, working on their own art things, and it is a happy ending. Overall, I think I'm going to give this one a 3.5. I was deciding between 3 and 3.5, but I think I'm going to stick with 3.5. I did like this. I felt like there were parts that were a little bit slow, but again, after kind of changing my expectations around this, I was enjoying it a lot more. It is more so of a cozy read and kind of just following the characters and what is going on with them during the semester at school. And I'm trying to think back to when I read Icebreaker, which I did end up DNFing because I feel like that one was like 600 pages or more. So I did get a little bit too bored with that one. And then I also read that on my phone, which I realized when I was reading Icebreaker that I was not enjoying reading on my phone. So there were a lot of factors to why I DNF'd that, but I was trying to think whether or not it was plot driven or character driven. And thinking back now, I think it was more so character driven. So it kind of just seems like that's Hannah Grace's style, is to do the character driven storylines, which is a little different to other romances that I read and typically enjoy, I guess. But I think it is good to try different genres, I guess, within a genre. But those are all of my thoughts, and thank you guys so much for watching this reading vlog. I hope you enjoyed. If you've read Daydreamer, let me know your thoughts on it in a comment down below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more book content, and I will see you in a new video next week. Bye guys!